Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Ragin Wrestling Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ravishing Randy, and joining me to my right.
Oh,
You always do this, man.
I'm getting old. I forgot everything, remember?
Oh,
I had a
man.
week of forgetfulness. I'm Rampage Ramsey. It's been a while, and I keep forgetting, Hey, I'm getting old.
Hasn't been that long. We just did one of these a week ago.
Do I remember it then?
I think that's like the shortest gap between shows we've had in a long time there, Ramsey.
Yeah, well, it's actually, we're recording this today, and the episode came out today, so, yeah. Because I forgot about to put it on the YouTube.
Oh, well, good job. Well, I guess by the time you get a chance to watch this, you would have seen the previous episode to know that we're getting close to spooky season. We are recording this particular episode the day after Halloween, but we figured that considering the time frame, what would be more appropriate than doing a show around the topic of Halloween Havoc, one of our personal favorite pay-per-view gimmicks.
Hey, if it's in Mexico, it's still spooky season.
Yeah, true.
Get the sugar skulls out. We're going to do our top 5 Halloween Havoc matches. And just a little kicker in this. I forgot my list at home, which I already had written out with notes, highlighting each match. So I'm going to free ball it here, so bear with me.
Free ball? God, I hope you don't free ball on my love seat, man. I know they call it a love seat, but let's not take it too literal there, Ramsey.
I'm going to free ball on the podcast. That's all.
Fair enough. So, I do have my prepared list because I understood the assignment.
Yeah, I know. But also you got to remember, too, is like, I'm not used to taking this on the road anymore. I'm used to being the person everyone comes to me for.
True.
So it's forgetful. Last week I forgot the tripod and the camera. This week I forgot my notes. Last week I brought my notes, but I forgot the tripod. Hey, we got the tripod and good camera this week. So
look, I think you got the majority of the stuff that we actually needed to do a podcast. We weren't MacGyvering it. So
yeah. Hey. So we're good. We're up and running. That's one good thing. But before I start, and before we start saying the top 5, this past weekend was Halloween Havoc. NXT's instead of doing it on the broadcast, it was a PLE, which made it more bigger.
Yeah, I do like the fact that rather than make it a themed NXT, Wednesday show or Tuesday show, they actually went all out and did the premium live event on Sunday. It was a very good nostalgic throwback, and I hope that is the direction that they take this going forward. Because to me, kind of feels like you can get away with a bit more when you have more than 2 hours to structure a show.
And I would say this, coming out of that event, the best women's division in wrestling is in NXT.
And it just got stronger, too.
Stronger.
I was going to say, granted, we actually got to see her in person, or not in person, but, we actually got to see her in the arena on Sunday, Bizarria. And then you follow that up with, Tuesday night after Halloween Havoc, her making her in-ring debut for NXT, and she looked pretty good.
And I'm gonna say this. I guess this is gonna be the women's
Revolution.
No.
The new 4 horsewomen.
Crap. Again, here we go. Forget being this old. This is what happens. For Survivor Series, I think this is the women's cage match.
So you think they're going to do more? So you think that NXT women are actually going to be featured on the Survivor Series PLE for women's war games?
That's the only women's that has on Tuesday night show. You had Georgiana Grace came out, and now you have the factions they did squared off in front. I was like, oh, this is War Games.
It'd be
Unless
cool. Well, no, it'd definitely be cool to see like NXT get featured on like a Raw, SmackDown, PLE. Like,
unless they're doing, I don't know for sure, but unless they're doing um the NXT PLE on Sunday, right, right after the day after Survivor Series. I don't know, but if they're doing the same arena right next the next day, then you have the cage right there already.
mm.
But I don't know. But I would say like right now that's the woman. There's no other women's factions that's going on. That's going to be the 5-on-5 or the 4-on-4 setup for War Games.
There's, I mean, like really, the biggest women's feud, at least on the WWE main roster, was on Monday nights between Liv and Rhea is going to be out of action for a bit of time with a fractured orbital bone. So that kind of kills that feud,
Which
for
was
now.
written off. She was written off on TV on
On
NXT.
NXT. Yep.
It just goes right back to NXT.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it would definitely be interesting to see if the NXT women get the call up to the main roster for that premium live event, so that they can settle
had the
that
superstars.
feud there.
They have all the superstars. I mean,
Yeah,
you have Georgiana. You're gonna Georgiana Grace.
Jordana Grace.
Oh,
yeah.
just think that lineup. That the babyface and the heel lineup. Oh my god.
Well, it's kind of interesting too, just like because like I thoroughly enjoyed the women's tag match.
That was a wet
But
dream.
seeing
That was a wet dream right there.
seeing Stephanie Vakir though get the clean pinfall over Roxana Perez, like it's gonna be kind of interesting, and it's where does Julia fit into that? Now that you have Zarya in there, how is Zarya gonna come into play?
The return of Cora Jade, where she's going to play
Yep.
into, and then supposedly Grace's contract is up in TNA this January, and I don't see her signing back with TNA. I think I can fully see her. She's going to be in NXT or WWE. You know, where's that going to fit in? And I'll say this: the next NXT champion is going to be Cora Jade.
You feel like she kind of deserves it. It kind of
deserves
feels like she's been on the precipice of a push, and then like
It was supposed to be that push before she got hurt.
right.
It was setting up. It was being set up, and then things happened, and then with the injury, got pushed back. But she deserves it. She needs to be up in the main roster with also with Roxanne Perez. But I think you send Roxanne Perez up first. Let Court that'd be a quick reign. We could do it like a day. We could do a week. We could do a month, and just give her flowers, and then move her on
and
up.
then Zarya destroys her. Yeah, I could definitely see something like that happening. But it is going to be interesting, though. Like I said, you got a lot of key main event players that are in there.
You know, the only thing I would say is unless before Grace's did Grace drop the title already?
Yeah, Masha Slamovich. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So yeah. The only thing I would say would be if Grace still had the TNA title, having her win the title and then drop the TNA title and then have the come over as the NXT champion would be like an awesome way. But yeah, I think you put Grace- you put Grace
maybe
right in the main event.
TNA does kind of see the writing on the wall too, and that's why they had her drop the bell now versus closer to when the contract's up.
Look, they already know like it's a deal that it brings people to TNA to watch the product if you can find it. But also too they know is holy crap. Grace had probably her best match ever while she was in NXT ring. Look what Joe Hendry has done. He's just been more over than what he was. Like he was over, now he's over.
Yeah, and I'm
It,
kind of
it,
interesting to see what's going to be going on with this storyline though in TNA because TNA just had their Bound for Glory pay per view as well, and Joe Hendry was squaring off against Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Championship. Long and short of it, Nick Nemeth ended up retaining, but there was a lot of shenanigans that was at play. With Frankie Kazarian getting involved, John Bradshaw Layfield coming out and basically decking everybody. Even Ryan Nemeth, Nick Nemeth's brother, was involved in the whole shenanigans. And
see,
so,
I think when they did that 4-way match a couple months ago, I thought that was the time to put it on
talking
Henry.
about it was like a six pack deal. I think it was like
The
six
six packs.
competitors. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, if they would have put the title on Hendry on then, because Hendry was uh
It was
at the
red
time
hot, but I know
NXT
like some
was
people,
NXT heavy,
yeah.
I think that would have been great for the brand.
But a lot of people were saying that maybe it was too soon, considering this was just like a few months into the push. So it was like, is he ready to be, the guy, or do we ride this out longer and build up that momentum even more? It kind of, it's kind of one of those things you might say that like, okay, Bound for Glory was probably when we should have pulled the trigger. I feel like you've had that anticipation, you've had that build up, the stars aligned, everything was set for him to win, and then he doesn't. But again, shenanigans involved. It's almost like, okay, I get drawing it out for several months, but if we're going to be drawing this out any longer, then you really have to hook me with the story. But some of the stuff that I've seen, I'm not completely on board, but we'll see.
We'll find out February 1st when that crowd, the loudest eruption during the Royal Rumble is going to be when Joe Hendry makes his entrance to the Royal Rumble.
He better be in the Royal Rumble. Like honestly, this is kind of the equivalent of that Royal Rumble that Daniel Bryan should have been in it, and then you're waiting, and then you get to entrant number 30, and then it's Rey Mysterio, and everybody just shits on the Royal Rumble. Was that the one that Roman won, or was it that Bryan was the one that he won when Daniel Bryan like made his entrance at like 15 and was quickly eliminated or some shit? Trying to remember which one because it was like back to back years that kind of thing happened. I'm trying to remember which one was the
I don't
Roman.
remember.
Yeah. Either
It's been so
way,
long. I don't remember.
if Joe Hendry is not in next year's Royal Rumble, then I feel like the fans are going to be a little pissed.
I think he's going to be in it. I think it's going to be. I think he's going to show the world and show everybody. Goes, hey, you should have strapped those titles on me already, both the titles, and I could rocket this shit off to the moon.
As I say, any other thoughts you want to share coming out of NXT's Halloween Havoc Premium Live event?
No, no.
Don't want to talk about your lookalike Bubba. You go get some fake glasses, put it on you.
Yeah, I have my real glasses somewhere in my bag. No, we can talk about that. I think surprise of the night, Bubba Ray comes in. First thing, wonderful that they NXT brought Bubba and Ray and
Dave LaGreca.
Dave LaGreca.
The fact that Busted Open got featured prominently several times on the show, that's big. And I mean, it's kind of one of those things when you see, those wrestling like podcasts and radio shows that get over big, that have such a large following. I mean, I know I'm an avid listener of Busted Open. So it is kind of nice, though, when you see more of these wrestling promotions kind of embracing them. Because it's, like, hey, they're not just WWE, they're not just AEW. They try to represent all wrestling when possible. So it's kind of nice. I know that Shawn Michaels, they have him on, if not like weekly, almost like every other week to kind of talk about what's going on in NXT and kind of promote the show. But the fact that Shawn kind of gave them that time on the premium live event to have them out there with the fans and the crowd, it was definitely nice to have those segments and to kind of gauge the tone of of the crowd at the time.
And having now Bubba Ray being involved now um, in a tag team match for Wednesday, not on Tuesday because it's election night.
Mm-hmm.
You need everybody to go vote. Um, so it'll be on Wednesday night, special edition. It's going to be in Philadelphia at DCW Arena. Bubba Ray will be wrestling, which is going to be, I think that's going to be an outstanding match.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you got a proven veteran in there that's pretty much worked the world over. Has won just about every title there is in the industry. You have him in there with a young, definite up and coming talent in Trick Williams. And then you got Ethan Page, who, like, I know we've kind of talked about it on the show before. I think he's heavily underrated. Just the fact that AEW did really nothing with him.
I did not know he had. I would say we in the AEW, and I don't know if people are gonna say I'm a hater for AEW, but AEW did not scratch the fucking potential of Surface for him.
Yeah,
And
it's a travesty.
That right there just tells you, if I'm a wrestler, I'm not. I don't want. Why? Why would I go? If I'm a veteran and I've done it and I've been there, I can see why going over there. But if you're a young talent, holy crap! Just think, if you take someone that have showed potential in, like in
If you're gonna go if you're gonna go on a diatribe, man, you gotta.
There's the problem with names. I forget about names, man. I'm getting old. Oh my god.
Gotta get you some of my grandma's
This
memory
thing's,
pills, man. Darby Allin.
Darby Allin, there you go. Darby Allin. We show the potential in Darby Allin. Just think what he could be in NXT or WWE, or we just with the other thing like Ricky Starks, potential free agent.
He's gonna be NXT bound by the time his contract's up.
It's gonna be amazing. Even with Lexus King, just look at like
he had a good match with William Regal's kid.
Yeah, Dempsey.
Yeah, Dempsey. He had a really good match with him this past Tuesday on NXT.
But he looked like trash in AEW, and the potential, like there's potential, like he was not. His wrestling style was like, ugh.
He was. I don't think he was so much bad when he was working tags, but it was when they tried to push him as a singles wrestler that you could definitely see the glaring, like, okay, he's not polished yet. He's not quite there.
And I think, thank God he's in NXT now. They got people that work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing too, Regal saw him at AEW. And what is the vote of confidence for him is Regal said, "I'm gonna work with you against my son."
Yeah,
that's that right there. Fuck the storyline. That's vote of confidence because Regal will be like, "No,
yeah,
no, I'm not gonna be in this corner. I'm not." That's like, no. It's just the potential. Like I think the potential wise, like for wrestlers, I think if I'm like up and coming, I want to be in NXT. Because I want to learn. AEW doesn't teach you; they just throwing out the matches, and it's going to be hard for It's hard for these young kids to do this. Like, hell, you put those youngsters, the pillars of AEW. That's not I can see a future, but they got to start learning how to do stuff.
I kind of feel like, and this would be a topic or a good topic for an upcoming show. If yeah, oh yeah, wait, on what? No, but like good topic for a future show would be like if we were to do a brand split for AEW, who would go on what show, how will we structure the show, and so forth. Because I do feel like, and I mean, we've said this before on the podcast. I do feel like with as loaded as their roster is, the fact that like you sometimes week to week see the same superstar, or see that's my WWE lingo there. See the same wrestlers highlighted, not just like twice a week, but like you might see one wrestler work a match and then you don't see him for 3-4 weeks, and then it's like, you're not going to get better unless you get those reps in the ring, unless you get that TV time. And it's like when you got 2-hour shows a week, there's a way that you can structure it where you get more TV time for people.
See, you're about to say that superstars is a bad word.
Not a bad
And
word.
I'm
I'm just
this. I'm gonna say this. The definition of a WWE wrestler, superstar.
I would no. It wasn't so much. It was more so because we're talking about
Well, no,
AEW and superstars, a WWE term.
Well,
that was the only reason why I caught myself
I'll
with
say
that.
they are superstars.
Yeah.
Because when you go see, like, oh damn, go let's see who's been the most reigning AEW champions in the business, homegrown talent or superstars
Or WWE WWE cast-offs. Yeah.
superstars.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I can understand that it's not a bad term. It just means like
Yeah, and I didn't mean it in a bad. I didn't mean the correction as like, oh, superstar is a bad term. It's just like I said, like that is more of a WWE iconography versus a AEW nomenclature. So it's
But like I said, like, I think they are superstars because their business is worldwide. They're known. Like when you come in, when a superstar comes into AEW, it's big news. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley is now AEW. The Hurt Business is back together.
Now known as the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, boy, you can't be the Hurt Business.
Right.
Syndicate.
But yeah, no, it's good to see them.
Those are superstars that could do that. I mean, AEW, like you come in, like you think, okay, all right, we'd be like, okay, I can see what people see in the stars at AEW, but I'm like, I don't see it. There's nothing to help bring that out.
You need more cohesive storytelling, and not just throwing matches together because we can have a match. Oh, we got this superstar and this superstar. This is a dream match waiting to happen. Boom, let's just have them go. It's like actually build to that. Like let's make money versus let's.
So now there's the WWE. What's the new thing they're doing?
ID, independent development, or something like
independent
that.
development, where they're sending the NXT superstars to independents to help out their shows, but also they got them signed in to get exclusive rights for the talent.
Well, it's kind of one of those things that, like, if you work on the independent circuit and you're not signed by NXT, or maybe you're not ready for NXT,
they'll send you down to the circuit.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you can go work at
minor Class A wrestling.
Yeah, you go work at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, or Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, or Seth Rollins' like was it Black and Blue or whatever. Yeah, but like you get to go and work at like those promotions to like learn the WWE style, so that when you are ready, you can then go to NXT, and then once you've kind of mastered the NXT level, then you could potentially make your way up to the main roster. So it's kind of just giving a lot of those like really green talents the opportunity to hone their craft and get better and get ready to be on that main event,
It also helps like NXT stars to get like, all right, you need to get some road experience. We're going to send you here. We're going to send you there.
Mm-hmm.
I think you do like send somebody like, I wouldn't say like for a day or anything, but like send somebody like maybe like a Sol Ruka down and help them out.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say.
We can go on to our topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say again, AEW. That's gonna be another show down the pipeline. We're gonna be looking forward to drafting our respective programs. But let's go ahead and get to the meat of what this show's really about. So, I will say you had your list that you conveniently forgot. Um, I have my list, and I will say that, like, for my top five Halloween Havoc matches, I kept it strictly WCW. So I didn't throw in any of like the more recent NXT matches. Kind of went back a bit to like my childhood and actually like what I watched and what I remembered growing up when it comes to Halloween Havoc. I do want to throw out. So I actually had six on my list. I did have an honorable mention that I'll throw out there, and that would be, I guess you could say this is my unofficial number six, but Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page for the World Heavyweight Championship at Halloween Havoc '98. Um, just I guess like a little bit of background on it. Goldberg, this is he's going into this match as a champ. He's amid his legendary undefeated streak, where he ran through everyone, but really, kind of at this point, the formula was getting stale. People were kind of tired of seeing him winning these quick matches that were, blink and you miss it. So they were looking for something more. And then meanwhile, you have DDP that was kind of at that point the people's champion, kind of rose through the ranks, got beloved and over with the crowd. Like I would legitimately say that kind of at this point in time, Diamond Dallas Page was more over than WCW stalwarts like Sting. Like I think DDP, aside from Goldberg at that time, was like the most over superstar um, on the card. DDP won War Games the month prior to get his title shot. Basically, you had these two irresistible forces that were destined to collide here. Probably Goldberg's best match during his title reign, to be honest. Like, as far as it wasn't a quick match, I mean, it went, say, about 15 minutes or so, maybe a bit longer than that. But DDP made Goldberg look good. And that whole thing where DDP countered out of the jackhammer and ended up twisting it into a diamond cutter, that was a sweet spot. Flawless. Goldberg would go on to actually win the match. But like I said, probably the best match of Goldberg's undefeated streak during that title reign. And the only reason why I have this as an honorable mention was because if you were like me and you bought the pay-per-view that night, you didn't actually get to watch the match that night, because the pay-per-view feed cut off just before the match started. So the last match that everybody got to see watching it live was that dreadful Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior match. So because you didn't get to actually see the match unless you were there live or you watched it the next night on Nitro, that's why this match is just outside of my top five. It doesn't make it. So, any comments you want to throw in there on DDP and Goldberg?
No.
Very profound.
I love DDP. I couldn't get on hype with Goldberg. I never did. I couldn't get on hype.
I mean, dude, seeing him squash people quick was fun, but it did it did get old fast. Like it was one of those things. After a couple months, it's like, okay, like we need to actually see this guy work a bit. And like I think that William Regal, or excuse me, Lord Steven Regal, as he was known at the time, I think that Regal match really kind of showed a lot of his deficiencies and, you know, Earth to Ramsey.
Yeah, I know. I'm hearing you.
All right. Just making sure you're kind of tuned out over there.
No, I'm also trying to work on my list too. I don't have about paper. Got things. I was just looking at things. I don't have no honorable mentions. But after I redo the top five, I'll give you what was, I think, my favorite. What year was my favorite? And what year was my worst? My least favorite. We'll do that.
Okay.
Because I was attendance for one of these a Starcade. I mean,
Oh boy.
I am not here for one of these Halloween Havocs.
Halloween Havoc. Yeah.
Yeah, I was intense for one of these Halloween Havocs, and I'll give you my opinion on that when it comes.
Okay. I'll. You want me to go?
You start with your 5.
All right.
You go. Yeah, go with your 5.
All right. So rolling in at number 5, I've got Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight Championship at Halloween Havoc '96. I will say that this was kind of in the prime of my wrestling watching days. When I got together with friends, had them over to watch the pay-per-views. I remember this match and like really just the Cruiserweight division in general. In WCW at this time was on. I mean, literally, they were the hottest thing in the company outside of the NWO. But you had two great stars. You have a 21-year-old Rey Mysterio Jr. who had just made his debut a couple months prior to that, going up against the man of 1,000 holds, Dean Malenko. Rubber match in this series. They each had kind of 2 wins apiece in the times that they had squared off prior. Malenko had ripped off Mysterio's mask on an episode of WCW Saturday Night. And the only thing that kind of kept Mysterio's identity a mystery was Tony Schiavone throwing his jacket over Mysterio's face. So it's kind of, you could tell just like how personal this feud was getting because, granted, we got an unmasked Rey Mysterio like 2 years later, but like at the time there was the mystique of the masked wrestler that was still respected and honored. So to try to remove a mask, that was, oh shit, I can't stand for that.
So this was actually my number 1.
This match?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well,
because I think this was my number 1 for Halloween Havoc. This is not my number 1 in that series,
or
in that series, or in their career. That one goes back to the ECW days.
Yeah, no, they had some bangers in ECW.
It was a banger. It was one of those. They stole the show. They're the ones that always will steal the show, and this one it's more not gimmicky. It was just good wrestling.
It was a nice contrast of styles. You had Mysterio with the high flying offense. I mean, like the sensational, and this was like prime Rey too, where literally it was like, just watching a bullet ricocheting around in the ring, like crazy. And then you have Malenko, who is more of the technician, the mat wrestler, the dude that's like, okay, I'm gonna catch you in some of these high flying moves and put you in a submission. Like, it was just a nice contrast of styles that worked so well together. Look, Mysterio gets hit with a succession of power moves. I mean, the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, that was a very sick, sweet spot in that match. There's a lot of like really good matches. The finish too with Malenko putting him in a gut wrench position on the top rope and then delivering a vicious power bomb. Like, it's kind of one of those things like, Rey, your time's gonna come, just not tonight.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of those. It was a very that night. Because I think, like, if you look at every Halloween Havoc, except for one, you have 1 or 2 good matches, and then you have 3 or more stinkfests. And I think that this was that one match that I have never forgotten. It was always in my head when I was going through my first list. That was the first thing that came in my mind, was that match.
Are you sure you're not mixing it up with another Rey Mysterio match?
No, that one's going to be number 2.
Ooh, okay.
Well, since you're going back down, I'm going up. My number 2 is Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, hair versus mask.
Well, okay, that was my number 1, but okay.
That's how we're going to do it. That's how we're doing it. He starts at 5. His 5 was my 1. My 2 is his 1. So, hey.
Yeah, no.
That's how we do it. Yeah.
Mask versus title, 97. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. So, yeah, go ahead and wax poetic for a minute.
The only reason it's it's not number one. I don't like the mask stipulation. I don't I was not a big fan of the unmasking. I thought that he should have kept his mask on.
Well, yeah, but he didn't lose the mask now.
But I'm just
like
saying, it was just
supposedly the original finish of that match though was that Ray was supposed to lose the match and unmask, and Ray fought against it. And I don't know if he was on borrowed time or like he was able to get his way this time if he agreed within the year to unmask. But
just the whole premises of the backstage politics of that. The reason why it's not number one. You know, it was a great match. It was a great.
I will say
match.
I will say that is the best match that the two of them had. And granted, they've had a lot of great matches. I mean, granted, they had an excellent feud in WWE as well, but just from the execution of moves, it was so fluid. It was so slick. Like just the counters, the aerial moves. It was just perfection. Look, the match goes for about 15 minutes. I would say actually, like, you sit there and you watch it and you try to point out where, oh, they flubbed this, or, oh, maybe they mixed it up here. No, like, literally from start to finish, it was utter perfection.
I think there was another match they had against each other that was even better.
They've had great matches, but, like, to me, I think this is the best one that they've had, period.
Probably have it.
But no, I period. And look, and that Phantom inspired get up that Ray wore.
When I get back up to South Carolina, I'm gonna watch all their matches because I think there's one.
I'm waiting to get. I'll be waiting for a phone call. I'll be like, Randy, you know what? You're right.
I'm gonna be like, Randy, you need to go look at this. Go pull this up on the Peacock.
Dude, like they played their roles in this match so perfectly. Like I said, like Mysterio, that Phantom getup was fucking nice. But Guerrero being a bastard heel right at the start of the match, trying to rip the mask, like rip that eye hole in Ray's mask. Ray basically displaying the heart of a warrior, and like no matter how many times Eddie would hit him with shit, Ray would figure out a way to counter out and get back in the match. I mean, dude, like the Mysterio pop up from the test of strength, jumping on the top rope, and then backflipping over Guerrero and planting him with the DDT. That was a sweet spot. Guerrero going for the back suplex off the top rope, Ray blocking it, and then Guerrero attempting the splash mountain, or I guess like the razor's edge off the top rope, and then Ray countering it into a Hurricane Rana, and then the pin. Like I said, it's just sweet chef's kiss perfection. What you looking up over there?
Don't mind me.
Anything else you want to add before we move on, since we're kind of going out of order here?
No. What's your number 4?
So I guess that kills the suspense there. But no, number 4, I've got the Steiner Brothers versus the Nasty Boys for the U.S. Tag Championships at 1990s Halloween Havoc. Dude, you want to talk about like two amateur pro wrestlers going up against a pair of barroom brawlers, just like these brutes, and like literally being as stiff as possible, beating the ever-loving shit out of each other. It was just a good, hard-nosed slobber knocker. This was a banger match, if you will. So, I mean, it's like two good tag teams going at it. The fact that, you have the Nasty Boys that are kind of targeting Scott Steiner's back, and that's a story of the match for a while there. keep cutting him off from tagging in his brother Rick. So you're kind of building up to that hot tag, and then when it finally happens, the crowd pop, or as guys, Pat Patterson would say, the crowd go banana. So like the building to that hot tag, Steiner's um, getting the win with the belly to belly suplex, and then the Frankensteiner to win. Later on in the night, the Steiners get jumped by nasty boys who dressed as concession stand workers. So it's kind of like a nice little, oh hey, we keep this feud hot and going. But just like the damage that both teams were doing to each other over the course of the match, like to me, it was a banger match and definitely deserving of consideration on my list.
I have a tag team match at
I don't know, 4.
yeah, no, I'm at 3. I'm at 3 because 1, 2, 3.
You said that you gave me your 1 and your 2. So both of the Rey Mysterio matches are 1 and 2. Have you even given me your 5 yet?
No, because when your 5 was my 1, so I'm going the other way. So it's number 3. So my number 3, I think it's going to be your 4-3. No, maybe not. I don't remember what you told me on your list already.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 89. It's going to be, let me get this card right. It's going to be Ric Flair and Sting with Ole Anderson against Terry Funk and the Great Muta with Gary Hart in a Thunderdome match with Bruno Sammartino as the special guest referee. This is the one that actually jumped off, made Halloween Havoc into the gimmick that's Halloween Havoc. It was just something that was a little bit different. It was probably at the time the 4 hottest wrestlers outside of WWE. I mean, if you didn't hate Terry Funk and the Great Muta at that time, something was wrong with you. Sting was red hot. Ric Flair was on that babyface run with Sting, and it was just great. It was just great wrestling. But it was also heels. What made this match was Terry Funk and the Great Muta.
Yep.
I remember how much I hated the Great Muta. And then as when I started getting older and being like, God damn, I love that guy. Just how much he made kids cry what he did to Sting. But in this match, I just remembered it was just so different. I can't recall the details on the match, but I just remember it being like, oh. It's like the first time you see War Games. It was like, oh, this is different. This is unique. And it was a game changer. And this would actually made Halloween Havoc, to me, being their number 2 pay-per-view.
Well, I was gonna say, like, there was definitely like the whole gimmick of like the electrified cage too, and so you had like,
It was the Thunderdome.
yeah, no, you had like some of the decorations that were like on the cage, kind of catching fire, like a fireworks display. Yeah, no, it definitely made like interesting, like for an interesting setup. Of course, like those 4 men, that was like 2 of the biggest feuds in WCW in '89. So I mean,
Terry Funk and Ric Flair on one-on-one matches on Night Night of Champions. I am losing it, guys. Look, this is what happens when you don't have notes.
that's okay,
I am
buddy.
losing it.
No, it was definitely a good match. I'll give you that. I was gonna say my number 3. And this is one that I know you were in attendance for personally because it took place at the UNO Lakefront Arena. But for my number 3, I got Vader versus Cactus Jack in Texas Death Match, which this was the second year that the spin the wheel, make the deal stipulation was in place. And so the Texas Death Match, whenever Vader had his spin, this is what it landed on. I mean, Vader and Cactus Jack had a really good feud this year, and it's kind of sad and criminal the fact that, like, considering the work that Cactus Jack Mick Foley was doing at the time, that he didn't end up getting a bigger push in WCW. Especially like when you look at the work that he did in this match. Um, Stipulation was a bit hokey in that, like, it was basically a last man standing match, but it was like you had to pin your opponent for a 3 count, then there was a break, and then there was a 10 count. And it was basically like you had to respond to the 10 count in order to stay in the match. So it's like, really, the pinfall doesn't mean shit. The pinfall is just a means by which to then get to a 10 count. But then there's still a break period before you get to the 10 count. So, like, that kind of loses me a bit. But as far as the action in the ring, like, these two men, and outside of the ring, like, these two men just beat the shit out of each other. And it's like, look, the spin the wheels, make the deal stipulation the year prior, which was the coal miner's glove match between Sting and Jake Roberts, was a drizzling shits. And so I kind of feel like these two guys went out there for this match to basically be like, nah, like, we can do better than that. So, and like the way of kind of like salvaging that gimmick, so much so that it's endured even to this day. We see the wheel in NXT's iteration of Halloween Havoc to this day. So, now, like, the quality of the match itself and everything was great. The whole Harley Race taser to Cactus Jack, and they have not responded to 10 count because of that, I thought was kind of crap. But overall quality of the match I thought was excellent. What are some of your thoughts?
I wished I had better seats. I was in nosebleeds, up all the way up in the top, and that action that was spilling into the crowd, I was like, I wish I was there. I don't know why, but I was just like, I wish I was there. That's a great reaction. I'm like, I don't think back then I didn't appreciate it, but like, older I get, I do appreciate it more and more because, god damn, those two always delivered in every promotion they were in. Anytime they get in a ring, those two guys always gave it to your all. I wish I was closer to the action.
I was gonna say I'll throw a quick shout out at least from that pay-per-view though. British Bulldog and William Regal for the TV title, and Stunning Steve and Dustin Rhodes for the U.S. Championship. Both good matches that were also on the show. Just give a little extra love for New Orleans pay-per-view. But my number 2, I've got Diamond Dallas Page versus Macho Man Randy Savage in the Las Vegas Sudden Death match from '97's iteration of Halloween Havoc. Savage and DDP was the feud of '97, at least on the WCW side of things. That was one of the best feuds in the company that year. Savage kind of went out of his way to get DDP over. That's kind of that you start seeing that groundswell of support from the fans for DDP during this time. You could definitely pinpoint that feud with Savage as like what set him on the path to the rocket ship being strapped on. This was the rubber match basically. They had a excellent match at Spring Stampede. And then I can't remember which pay-per-view it was for the next match, but I mean, they had 2 great matches. This was the blow-off. You had the women for both wrestlers getting involved. You had Miss Elizabeth and Kimberly that were, pulling hair and fighting each other on the outside of the ring. You had the 2 men kind of brawling in the ring, outside of the ring, through the little makeshift graveyard that was by the entryway. The thing that maybe kind of takes away from the match a bit is, the whole fake Sting interference, which turned out to be Hulk Hogan interfering on Savage's behalf. Giving Savage the baseball bat, cracking him, in the chest, and like I know DDP was also dealing with injured ribs at the time, kayfabe. So that ends up costing him the match. But as far as like the quality of the work before the interference, and the storyline that they had built up to that point, you could definitely say that it's deserving of being on my list at least, as far as like one of the best Halloween Havoc matches. Ready for you to poo poo on it, but go ahead.
I'm not pooping on it.
Okay.
Good match.
Good.
Good match. Wasn't all that. To me, wasn't all that great. It was good. It was good. I don't no complaints on it. Guess I'm last with my number 5. I'm going to shoot off the hip here. It's a tag team match. It's a Steiner Brothers match, but not your Steiner Brothers match. It's going to be the one where they lost to Doom, Ron Simmons, and Butch Reed with woman in 89 the 89 Halloween Havoc.
89 just was a good pay per view overall. Shoot.
So we're trying to cut this short because we are running out of time here. So to me, it was just like Doom and the Steiner brothers put on banger after banger after banger in that 88, 89, 90 era. And this is when I think this is the last one of the last big hurrahs for Doom, because after this, Ron Simmons starts going singles, and then that's when he starts getting his started on his run on his singles and his championship run. 1989 to me is the best Halloween Havoc pay-per-view of all time. Just because it's number one, not just because it's number one, but the iconic matches they had up and down the card. Just like it had 2 of my top 5 matches. It had, the Ric Flair and Sting with Terry Funk, Great Muta. They had the Road Warriors versus the Skyscrapers with Sid Vicious and Dan Spivey, because that was before Dan Spivey got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit right before he got hurt. You had Luger versus Brian Pillman, which was a banger for U.S. Heavyweight Championship belt.
Yep.
Doom and Steiner Brothers. The Fabulous Freebirds versus Dynamic Dudes, Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace. Tommy Rich versus the Cuban Assassin. The Samoan SWAT team fought the Samoan Savage and Samu. Defeated the Midnight Express with Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane, and Steve Dr. Death Williams.
Yep.
And the first match was Tom Zink and Mike Rotunda. And that was that wasn't the worst match. I remember, I think it was the Tommy Rich Cuban Assassin match was probably the worst. But it was just something. It was a little bit different. It was a different feeling. And I don't know why, but it's that Pennsylvania. It was in Philadelphia, and something about any big pay-per-views in Philadelphia, it was always kind of felt good.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Philly, really, like Philly or any adjacent Pennsylvania show is usually a banger. At least the crowd definitely gets into it.
Yeah, this one,
Yeah.
NXT one this past week was in what? Hershey, Pennsylvania. Then it comes to the worst, which unfortunately I attended. It's nice that he was giving his cherries to the New Orleans pay-per-view. It was very easy. You could go with the late Starcades, but 93 wasn't that good. I remember being there and being like, why?
You had a very small handful of like good matches that were on that 93 card. Had a pretty dang good intro too, as far as like the little mini movie with Tony Schiavone and like little kids trick or treating at his haunted house or whatever.
Yeah, but then you open the match out with fucking Ice Train, Charlie Norris, and the Shockmaster defeating Harlem Heat.
Which, dude, by the way, like, I did not realize how long Ice Train was with the company. Like the fact that like they really did nothing with him. Not saying he was like great or anything like that, but like the dude was still wrestling with WCW all the way up until like that final Nitro. Like I think he had his last match with WCW like a week or two before the last Nitro.
Hey, we think so much highly of you. We're gonna put you with the Shockmaster. Number 2 is the Paul Orndorff versus Ricky Steamboat. This to me when this match happened, I literally turned to my friend and was like, "Are we back in the '80s?" I'm like, "We did. Are we 6? Did we just shrunk in time?" Lord Steven Regal, David Boy Smith was a good match, but when it becomes a time limit draw and your kids at the arena, boo. Probably the second best match of the night was Dustin Rhodes and Steve Austin for the U.S. Championship. The Nasty Boys versus Alexander Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio.
Yep.
That's when Missy Hyatt was still nice looking.
Yeah. She was rocking the short hair. Don't know how I feel necessarily about the short hair, but you know,
if
still.
If you look at it as short hair and compared to now,
Well, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Sting versus Sid Vicious, and then Rick Rude versus defeated Ric Flair for the WCW International World Heavyweight Championship. Because this one right here, we can't say it's a world title because they lost the world title organization.
Yeah, they're no longer affiliated with NWA, and then it was like,
But this was one of their okay match. It wasn't the greatest match, but it was okay. And then the Vader Cactus Jack, which we went into detail.
Yeah,
it just fell. It fell. I think if you would have had the Ric Flair and the Rick Rude match with a stipulation, I think that would have been it would have been a better match. I think now with NXT, like all of them has they
had some kind of stipulation to it.
I think it'd be awesome. I think that's what it's about. It's Halloween. It's supposed to be spooky. And it's supposed to be mysterious. I like that. Just having one stipulation match, it makes it kind of hard to watch because it's just a great card, and you're just waiting for the stipulation match. Oh. And if it doesn't deliver, it kind of makes your card just go.
Well, again, this is still kind of early into that concept, and it kind of refined it a bit more as the years went on. It's kind of crazy when you think that like Eric Bischoff went so far as to say that like while most of the fans would consider Starrcade as like the WCW version of WrestleMania, he actually felt like Halloween Havoc was that caliber of show for WCW.
Because when he took over the company, he made it that way. But before he took over, no.
Yeah, well, Starrcade, right?
Starrcade is the biggest fucking because Starrcade was the biggest pay-per-view. Even with WrestleMania, was the biggest pay-per-view because it had these gimmick matches in it. The Night of the Skywalkers, the scaffolding matches. They brought these matches onto major time pay-per-view where WrestleMania was just doing, just touting out Hogan versus with Mr. T. But we're getting Road Warriors on a fucking scaffolding. We're getting two big ass dudes on scaffolding. Let's go.
You like talking about Halloween, talking about tricks and treats and stuff like that. I have a little bit of a treat. If you want to keep the podcast audience preoccupied for a moment, let me go work on this treat real quick.
Oh boy, I think I kind of know what this is. This is all. Is this going to take one? It takes a long time. Oh, maybe not. But I would say that the oh, that is a treat, sir.
I was gonna say, yeah, man, like a little bit of a treat here. Right before we wrap up the show, we got one of our former podcast buddies right here, TNK. kind of joining us right now. So the theme of the show was top 5 Halloween Havoc matches. Keeping it kind of in season. I did. He had Eddie Ray too.
I had
He had Eddie Malenko.
Yeah.
96.
96.
Yeah, that's right. No, Malenko and Ray fought 96.
Yeah.
For the cruiserweight.
Right, and then Eddie and Ray was 97.
Yeah, no, Malenko and Ray was 96. Eddie
Right.
and Ray was
97.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he said, okay. I can do that. Great matches.
So what would be your personal favorite?
Oh God, man. I mean, I'd probably side with you, but Rams reverse footboard.
What was the worst Halloween Havoc memory you got?
I'm not going Yeti.
The Yeti?
This is good. I can't. You put me on the spot. I guess watching Hulk Hogan getting,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Watching Hulk Hogan getting butt fucked by two giant men was always
Like, was it a pleasure?
It's funny shit, man. I couldn't help it, bro. It was funny, man.
Dude, I gotta say, for me, worst Halloween Havoc memory would be Warrior and Hogan in that botched finish.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, like the fireball that hits nothing, but all of a sudden Warrior's blind.
The worst probably match of all time to me is still you electrocuted a live person.
Abdullah the Butcher.
That was the opening match.
It's
Fucking murdered a guy. Opening match.
Dude, you got nowhere to go after that.
You know what? I'm surprised. Did you have Cactus Jack and Beta?
I had him at 3.
All right, just want to make sure I had that.
He was in attendance for that one.
Yeah, that was the worst pay per view. That's the worst Halloween Havoc pay per view there was.
Oh, I thought I heard good things about it.
Yeah, go to live.
Compared to 2000, Halloween Havoc 2000 was fucking terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. But being like I said, being in the audience of that one, and then you having the it's going to be a Texas Death Match. Ooh, and then nothing leads up to it. If it was more stipulations in that match, and you're a kid, you'd be like ooh. But there was no stipulations. You get these matches and then you get the Texas Death Match, and there's like, huh? First you have to get it. It isn't in my top 5, but it was also one of those at the time. It was like, what the fuck is this? Like, because it's like, at the time you cannot competent. Like, he just pinned him, but now he has to wait for a 10 count.
Yeah, no, that whole stipulation does kind of like kill it a bit.
There's the wind out of the arena was knocked out.
But
early.
I will say this, like, as bloody as that match got, you didn't really see too much of that in like 1993.
I said I want. That's why
Yeah.
the only thing I was mad I didn't have closer seats so I could be where their blood was.
Yeah.
But yeah, being up there up high, it was okay just because of the fact that the momentum wasn't there for the whole card, and it was like, all right, like we got some good matches, but then the pay per view was like it just okay, it didn't live up to the bill, and it just fucking sucks. I remember it was like one of the worst wrestling events I went to because it was just like, oh
No. Any closing thoughts you want to throw in about Halloween Havoc, T and K?
I'm sure y'all talked about it, but I'm glad that they're keeping it alive in NXT. They just had it last weekend, so I think this is the second, third Halloween Havoc.
They started during the pandemic in 2020.
But it's nice to see the theme rolling. And I watched WWE's social media. They had NXT wrestlers all dressed up, even the main roster wrestlers. So I'm glad they're keeping it alive. It is much better. It was my favorite probably set.
Yeah. Oh no, best set, and granted now it's like mostly LED screens or whatever. I'm still waiting for that giant inflatable fucking pumpkin.
They did have some decorations on Sunday.
Yeah.
They did have some decorations, which was I liked it.
It's a step in the right direction. Now just get a big fucking inflatable pumpkin or a big inflatable Grim Reaper, whatever. Call it a day.
You can't do that because then Kevin Owens is going to come down and he's going to be like, I want to jump on it.
Yeah, but if Kevin Owens isn't on NXT, that's besides the point. No,
Hey,
man.
They don't care. Hey, this Wednesday they're going to pop out. They're going to try to pop all the ratings they can because they're going to go head to head against AEW for the second time this year already, and
Dude,
they
they're
already
just
killed them the first time.
just the fact that they're going to be in the ECW arena, and fun fact, the fact that it's Shawn Michaels' first time in the ECW arena. It's gonna be nice. Just say they got Bubba Ray going to be featured. RVD is going to be there too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Curious to see what other ECW legends they pull out of the woodwork, but should be a good night. Any closing thoughts you want to throw in there on Halloween Havoc, Ramsey?
No, just next time I'll make sure I bring my notes.
Yeah, let's remember that next time, buddy.
Hey, it's better that I brought the camera this time.
You did. You brought the camera. We got the
last week I
tripod.
forgot the camera.
We're
I
good.
forgot the tripod and the cords. This week I forgot the notes. Camera or notes?
I'd rather you forget the notes than forget the equipment. So we're off to a roaring start there. So that'll do it for this edition of the Ragin Marks Wrestling Podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever you can find the podcast, whether it be YouTube, Spotify,
YouTube.
Whatever. Oh, just YouTube.
Just YouTube.
Well, there you go. So, Ravishing Randy signing off. You want to do one for old time's sake?
Why not, man? TNK signing off.
And Rampage Ramsey out. I can't remember my name that time.